They say good things come to those who wait. Well, 3 more sleeps and it all begins again. Tonight here in Dublin, Joe's House of Rugby plays the Aviva Stadium with an all-star cast as we get set to preview the 2019 Guinness Six Nations and the big game of round 1 between defending champions Ireland and their old friends England.
Crouch, bind, set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
You are very, very welcome. It is fantastic that House of Rugby is on tour for its live show, brought to you by Joe, together with our very good friends and hopefully your very good friends at Guinness as well. We have got a really, really good show lined up for you this evening. Some absolute superstars of the game. And those of you who have listened to the UK show in the past will know we don't tend to talk a lot about rugby. Tonight we are going to try and crowbar a little bit of that in. Those of you who have listened to the UK show as well, can we have a quick show of hands, actually, who have listened to the show in the UK? Thank you very much indeed to all of you loyalties. We'll know that normally I have quite a loyal sidekick alongside. I say normally alongside. We're actually getting more and more used to introducing apology videos for him for his absence. And it is no surprise that this week James Haskell has not made it out to Dublin and has once again gone to his mobile phone and recorded an apology video. Have a little look at the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry that I cannot be here this evening to celebrate House of Rugby in our very first live show. Well, our English side coming over to Ireland and demonstrating what we've got. I couldn't be there, but you know who I've sent? Mike bloody Tindall. And he is about as popular in Ireland as an STD is. So please, 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 do not hold back. Share your opinions. Remember, he said Irish rugby was boring. Okay? I'm here. I'll be enjoying myself, sampling some of your country's finest products. I'll be seeing you all.
Ladies and gents, Mr. James Haskell, a little round of applause for the man who got married a couple of weeks ago. And on that note, it is time to bring out the man that he referenced there. I'm actually genuinely quite nervous for him this evening. He's made John Mitchell look rather tame in the comments that he said while calling Irish rugby shit this week. Ladies and gents, would you please give it up for the former England captain, Mr. Mike Tindall? That's what we wanted. The booze and the whoos.
Just happy there was no bottles. That's
Welcome
all right.
along.
Well, unless they were full,
Come on,
I'd be
see,
fucking happy.
You're in seat number 2 this evening. Are you nervous?
2?
Yeah, 2. We're gonna put you and Simon side by side. We're gonna put Shane and Rory on the outside.
Little guys on the outside.
Little guys on the outside. Have a quick seat before we welcome the others out. If ever there was a night for royal protection, this potentially might be it, given the way it's gone down so far.
I think John Mitchell saved me on that.
I mean, have you spoken to John Mitchell? Have you been feeding the lines? He said they're going to bore
I'm
England.
not going to say I've got an inside
shit.
line to what they're thinking, but yeah, I've been working as a tactician behind the scenes for England for numerous years, and he basically summarised it for me.
Good. And there is absolutely no turning tonight. You are standing by your viewpoint, even with a good crack before you.
I will reiterate my points in terms of what I believe, but there is no doubt going into the weekend Ireland are favourite. I'm quite happy to accept that, but I just say that Ireland can improve in certain areas, but Joe Smith knows that and he'll keep doing that.
Very diplomatic. We'll get the Guinness flowing. We'll get
There's
you
a
to
lot
tell
more
some of the
people
behind the
than me.
scenes stories.
I back myself,
very
but there's a
very
fucking
true.
lot of people here. So.
That is very true. You're very welcome. We're going to round of applause because it's a good sport to come out this evening. Let's quickly bring out the other guys and then we'll get into it. Ladies and gents, without further ado, one of the great Welsh wizards, a British and Irish lion as well. It's Mr. Shane Williams.
I feel like I'm giving him a standing ovation.
Yeah, standing ovation to Mr. Shane Williams. Come on, grab a seat. Welcome aboard. Without further ado, the former Scotland captain, one of the nicest guys in the game, a man with rugby coursing through his veins. It's Mr. Rory Lawson, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, Rory. Full pints of Guinness all. I'm a little bit jealous. Yeah, you go there.
It's a good job you put the water on the table.
Shane, if you go on the end, that's perfect there. Rory, come on up. And without further ado, the hometown hero, the man who's putting the speed into racing, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Simon Zebo! That's the one. Come on up, dude. Well done. You're just in the middle there as well.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Have a seat. Do you want a drink? Little
Water.
Just water.
Yeah.
Consummate pro.
There's only
as
one
you are.
still
There's only one still
playing,
playing. Spot him. Not difficult. Guys, you are very welcome, and we've got so much to talk about. Interesting that we've gone with 4 backs, which I presume is a sort of a reflection of where the brains sit in the modern game.
And I'm assuming that we're feeling that Italy aren't going to win fuck all by
Yes,
the panel
great.
that you've got
I think
assembled today.
there'll be a little footnote, I think, to our discussion. Exactly. So you're getting into the Italians and the Irish. We've got a couple more to go, and you'll have the full clean sweep. Why break the habit of a lifetime? What a game. Actually, just before we get into Ireland-England, every show normally ends with who's going to win the Six Nations. Let's start this week's show with who's going to win the Six Nations and why, and we'll work backwards from there. Rory.
Whoever wins on Saturday afternoon.
Here.
Evening. I don't mean Scotland, Italy. Yeah, I think whoever wins here on Saturday evening will win the Six Nations.
And who will that be?
Well, I mean...
Play to your audience.
Most likely the Celtic cousins.
Right, okay. Keeping amongst the
Yeah,
brethren.
I think Ireland. Ireland will... I've got the win behind them, and I think they're going to win on Saturday and just carry momentum through. Loads of confidence.
I presume you're going to back England.
Not really. I think Ireland are
Our first flip-flop of the night.
No, because I've never said that England are a good team. I think England have a... Just to prove that I'm quite genuine.
2 minutes in, we've done Italy, Ireland, and England as well. Good.
Well, all of a
Fucking
sudden
Welsh
he's talking
cheap
sense.
shaggers.
Very good.
I think Ireland are in a better place than England. My issue with England is if they come and try and play Ireland at their own game, they'll lose, which they've done for the last 4 times they've.
Is that the
we've
boring
come over
game
here.
that John Mitchell's referenced?
It's going to be a physical game, and I think Joe Smith wants it to be physical, so he's brought it out saying he knows that England are going to bring this physicality. And I think you've got 2 coaches, sort of John Mitchell's trying to wind him up by going, why don't you try and play a little bit more, so take away from what they are as a team, which is a team that just doesn't know how to lose. They are born winners, and that's what England have got to deal with. And I just don't know whether England have got it in their locker to come out and play an expansive game like Ireland did when they came over, like Scotland did when they came over here last year, like Wales did, where it actually caused Ireland some problems. If England just come and play them at their own game, they're going to lose because Ireland are the best at it, without a doubt. So in terms of who's going to win the Six Nations, the only downside for Ireland is they go away for 3 games, and they go to Scotland, which they haven't won there for a while. They lost their last time.
Last team to beat
Scotland,
2016.
Yeah. So it's hard to go and win in Edinburgh. And then obviously Wales, and if we can get Wayne Barnes to referee Ireland and Wales.
Secret weapon.
That's going to be tricky for them as well. So I think it's genuinely a very hard thing to call. I would love to stick by England, but I'll agree. It'll come down to this first game. If England get the approach right in how they play, I believe they have the team that could beat Ireland. But do I think they'll do it? I probably don't think they will. Okay. So France are going to win the Six Nations.
Very good. If that's a short answer, I dread to think what we're going to go into in detail. Zeebs?
I've got Ireland. To win at the weekend and win the Six Nations.
Grand Slam or not?
I don't know. I think it'll be tight.
I hope no one wins the Grand Slam.
I can't see
World Cup year, I hope nobody wins it.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Shane?
I think you know what I'm going to say.
Surprise me.
Yeah.
Italy.
Well, after a long-winded answer by Mike, I've got to be honest, I don't think the Six Nations are going to be won on the first weekend. I think Wales are in a good position. I've got to say this, Mike, because I've got to get home safe tonight. Yes, it's a huge game, but Wales have got their 2 biggest games at home. Ireland and England. At the moment, the confidence the Welsh are playing with.
Scotland's not a big game, yeah? Scotland's not a big game.
Warren Gatland or Shane Williams on the end there?
No.
Just trying to remember where Wales won in Edinburgh.
No, it is. It's a tough game. I never lost there, but
Still got the strut.
But I'm not playing anymore, so I can't help the guys. But
there's always another coming out of retirement, I'm sure.
Oh, look, I think what's great about the Six Nations, it's massively open, isn't it? We're all nervous about saying who's going to win it, and that says it all for the competition and how well some of these nations are playing at the moment.
So we've got, what is it? It's 4 of the top 5 in the world are in the tournament this year. Are we looking at the most open Guinness Six Nations we've had for some time?
Yeah, I think so. I think all the coaches, whether they're trying to bluff or not, all the coaches have said that you could argue any one of 5 teams could win the competition. I'm not 100% sure that's the case. I think very easy to go to the cliche of what French team's going to turn up, but we don't really know. If the French turn up and, some of the guys from Toulouse bring their form into it, some of the guys from Clermont bring their form into it, then... And now Racing haven't got, Zebo and Finn Russell who run the show don't play for France, so...
They've got any French, really?
Then who knows? But I think for me, it is massively wide open. I think the squads are always going to be tested. It is a momentum tournament. For me, I think Scotland have possibly got too many injuries, although they'll hopefully get healthier as the weeks go on. But opening at home to Italy, you hopefully start with a win, then you welcome Ireland. If you can get through those two with 2 wins, then you've got a few more guys to come back apparently in week 3. So who knows? But I think you're probably looking between Wales, Ireland, and possibly England. So it is wide open.
England. You agree?
Yes.
Good. World Cup year, does that make a difference to the tournament from a player's perspective? Is that something that is a consideration, or is it irrelevant until the Six Nations is done and dusted?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's purely Six Nations, and especially with Joe at the helm, all he's focused on is winning the immediate game, and starts off with England, and yeah, he'll be very much focused on backing up the Grand Slam last year. So yeah.
Was it possible that Joe Smith was a serial killer back in New Zealand?
Potentially. I wouldn't rule it out.
He's quite hard to read, isn't he?
Yeah, he
and
is.
You just think that he's definitely done something bad in the past. The way he analyses a game appears to me that he definitely knows how to bury a body and not get.
Simon, you don't. I know you still harbour hopes. You still harbour hopes. There's no need to answer that question. All right.
I know. I might as well be retired, but I'm not.
Yeah. You're the same as a chance.
Yeah.
He's a very brave man if he's pissing Joe Smith off, and he is a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. He's
Don't
got more
worry.
protection.
There's little fucking red lights all over this place. Anyone moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Royal protection.
Take him out. Take him out.
Would you please welcome our special guest, Joe Schmidt, ladies and gentlemen? If only.
Take him out. Take him out.
Yeah. Would you go along that, Shane, to come back to the World Cup factor? Is it something that the fans and the pundits and everyone else buys into? And how much are we going to learn about World Cup chances in this year's tournament? Or is it irrelevant?
Well, I think you're definitely going to see where the teams are. I think World Cup preparation started probably 24 months ago.
Yeah.
As in, bringing youngsters through, summer tours, autumn series and Six Nations. I think that's why you're seeing the fact that Ireland and Wales and England are in a good position, because they've been building for the World Cup. As far as a player's concerned, he'll want to go into the Six Nations and play the best rugby he possibly can, because he wants to play in the World Cup. It's as simple as that. And that's good for rugby. It's good for the nations, because you're going to have some good rugby being played. You're going to really see who the class players are in the Six Nations, because some players will buckle under pressure. The good players will continue playing well and look forward to the World Cup. So that's why we've got so many Northern Hemisphere teams high up in the world rankings at the moment, and that makes for a good Six Nations.
It's an interesting one, though, isn't it? Six Nations isn't a tournament that coaches, take gambles on. Typically, it's your stock players that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, have the experience, have the Six Nations experience. So I don't think we'll see loads of new blood being blooded, but then equally in the back of the mind for the coaches, there has to be, 3 warm-up games or 4 warm-up games to the World Cup. Is that enough time to actually see who your squad of 31 or whatever are actually going to be? It's really interesting. I don't see there many coaches taking all that many gambles pre-World Cup.
No Jack Noll at 7 then for England.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Just imagine if he was taking on Peter O'Mahony and all the Irish back row. It's all smoke and mirrors. I think coaches now are the best artists of just saying one thing when they're doing something completely different. Oh yeah, we're going to do this, and it's like, lads, don't worry about that. We're not fucking doing that. I get what he's trying to say in having a back that plays like a forward, but I think there's been numerous backs that have done that over the years. So no, I don't expect to see him running out with 7.
Okay, let's focus on the big game, which isn't Scotland-Italy on Saturday afternoon, with the greatest of respect. It is obviously Ireland against England. Personally, how much do you miss it in weeks like this? It may yet come again. I know there's sort of faint hopes, but I mean, is it being back here and all the talk about it? Is it an itch you?
It's all right. He's really comfortable sleeping on his pillows full of 50 euro notes, 1,000 euro notes.
Toweling himself down with $200 notes.
He's just had them knitted together. He's like, I really miss Ireland.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he'll come back and get his tax breaks, and then he'll be really happy.
Just smoking the Euros.
Yeah.
No, I do miss it. I definitely do. Just the weeks leading up to the big game, England first up. I'd love to be going out to play. There's some certain things I definitely don't miss. I won't elaborate, but
Go on, give us a clue.
Nah. Going to camp and being away for 6 weeks or 8 weeks away from your family, things like that. That's tough to do, especially with 2 young kids. But to be able to go out and play, sing the anthem, beat England, it's always special. So I definitely miss that.
Too easy.
That's funny, I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sure Rory was as well. Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you played in the record defeat where we put 64 on you. But...
Shots fired.
It's not getting ugly early on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the camp thing. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt that he's Coach of the Year, Joe Schmidt. But is he somebody who has such high standards that it brings with it an added pressure? I mean, I know international rugby is hugely pressurised, but it sort of feels sometimes for the Irish players that there is a way of doing things that if you can't subscribe to it, you don't get a look in.
Yeah, there's certainly some things that you have to abide by the rules and conform to a certain way of playing and doing things, and it's obviously working. The boys are winning consistently. Grand Slam, first series win in Australia, things like that. They're flying.
All black wins too.
All black wins, yeah. So it's obviously works, but it sometimes it can be a little bit tough.
Was it something everyone buys in? Because everyone talks about how hard he is, but how fair he is. The old adage of where he called out Brian O'Driscoll as the first guy in the first meeting when he dropped that ball off his toes. But so did people get on board with the fact that, okay, he's going to rip you down when you need to, but you'll know when it's coming because you know the mistake that it is, but he's not doing it to put you down, he's actually doing it to challenge you to get better. Did everyone buy into that quite well? It seems that everyone did because he had a pretty instant response.
Everyone did. Pardon me.
Or obviously everyone knew that they would get murdered if they didn't respect it. So
definitely. If you didn't do something, or if you went off a line, it would be pulled up on the video session in front of everybody, and you would be slated. And that's just the standards that the boys are hitting in camp, and that's what you have to do to be successful. And they've proven it on the world stage, beating the world's best and Grand Slamming and going into a World Cup, probably top 2 favourites. So.
What you on?
I think there's not many coaches that do that anymore. And it's personally, if I had a coach, that is what I want. I prefer someone to sort of keep pushing me to get better. Yeah. Obviously, occasionally, if it's every week and you're just not going through a bad patch, he's obviously got to switch that around and go, come on, we need you to get better. But I think now, with how coaching is and how the world is, there's a lot of it needs to be an arm around you first.
Yeah. And actually, Eddie Jones has made that exact point, that as a coach, he has changed hugely from the stick to the carrot in the 15, 20 years that he's been doing.
But there's different players within that, but ultimately the stick works better because if you're in a World Cup final and things aren't going your way, you need to figure it out on your own. There's very little that coaches can do. And what you found out from this Ireland team now is even when they don't play well, and even when they play well, they're not playing that well. They get it done, and and that is a unique thing to be able to have. When England won, whatever it was, 18 on the bounce, and then the last 10 they didn't play well. Yeah. As soon as it went wrong for them, they sort of suddenly started losing 7 on the bounce. Whereas Ireland have never done that, and I think it is because of how he treats them, and he demands a standard. And I think there is always a need for the stick more than there is the carrot. Yeah. Yes, you've got to be. It's the old adage of what we talk about when I came in '97, and you basically get bullied by all the senior players until you've earned their respect. And I think that should be how it. There should be a little bit of that if you want to build a team that is durable.
Yeah.
And I think that why Joe Smith's so good is he's got that balance spot on.
Did you have to go through a bit of that when you came into the Ireland camp with O'Connell and O'Driscoll and the likes?
From players?
O'Gara, yeah. Did you have to prove your mettle?
Yeah, I did, yeah, definitely. There's always higher standards set from players. I think the leadership group, the core of players who've been there for years and who've led the team to big wins. So they probably set the standard more so than the coaches, and you're going out trying to impress them and trying to play well and earn their respect. So I got a bit of stick off Raj and Paulie. Had a few meetings with them one-on-one when I was a young fella.
You were summoned to their hotel room because...
No, not to their hotel room, but on the side of a pitch. Raj pulled me over a couple of times and just said, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You need to cop on, you know." So you might need to translate that to Cork accent.
Copping on in England is something completely different to what... It's quite a strange relationship that sounds things.
No, but I got a few earfuls early doors, 19, 18, 19, 20. And it helped me to know what I needed to do to get into the big team, to the Irish team. So.
You told the story the other day on the show about getting smacked on the nose by Martin Johnson in a bar in Paris, I think it was. I just wondered if there was any sort of thing like that in Wales. Did you issue any of those back in the day, or were you a little bit more sort of...
No one touched Shane, did they?
The golden child.
No, if I was going to give someone a belt, they'd be in the nuts, wouldn't it? No,
and did
believe
you?
it or not, I didn't set the fear like that in any of the players around me, but I thought,
Did that kind of thing go on in camp, though? I mean...
Yeah, as a youngster coming through, and you can imagine you've just been selected for the Welsh team, you think you're chocolate, you think they're the best thing since sliced bread, you haven't got the experience, you don't know how it all works. And, initially when I first got in the Welsh team, I had Neil Jenkins, Scott Quinnell, Rob Howley, all these guys that...
Craig Quinnell,
Craig Quinnell as well. So you don't really turn around and chops to these guys when they're about 6 foot taller than you, to be fair. But I think there is a fine line. You do get youngsters coming through that who are obviously very talented and are very good players, and sometimes they need that kind of experience around them to ground them. Because I remember when I first got in the Welsh team, I thought I could do anything, but I found out very quickly I couldn't, and it took kind of the experienced players to put me to the side and say, "Look, just calm down. This is what you're going to do. Just enjoy it. Don't get too carried away by it all, and you'll become a better player." And I think you learn in time, and probably the same as was happening for a lot of players. It takes a while to become a very good international player. It doesn't happen overnight, unless you're George North, unfortunately, bastard. But for most of us, it's a journey, and it does take some time.
Yeah, brilliantly put. Back to the game. I just want to pick up on the Ireland-England game. Would you go along with the fact that Ireland are boring, as John Mitchell has said, considering your exit route this evening as well?
I think Ireland know who they are.
Right, that doesn't really answer the question, though.
That's a shit answer.
Yeah. Splinters in the backside.
When I look at Ireland and you look at when they're
Does
on
it
fire,
matter?
when they're on fire versus when they have an off day, there's not that big a difference.
Yes.
And look, I compare it to Scotland. Scotland against England at Twickenham. I hate to go on about it, but against England at Twickenham last year, were on fire.
That was at Murrayfield.
Sorry, at Murrayfield last year. Yeah, 83.
83.
Yeah,
was the last time you could shout about Twickenham.
At Murrayfield last year, they were on fire, and incredible to watch, playing, coast to coast, brilliant stuff. But equally on a bad day.
I don't think if you go to the Irish dictionary, coast to coast is in there.
Okay.
It's like
goal line to goal line,
yeah,
attack from wherever.
It's like
not
five
box
yard,
kick.
5 yard pass, 5 yard pass, 5 yard pass, box kick, win the thing, get a penalty, kick it goal.
Tumbleweed in front of your away audience.
Exactly.
But I'm with you.
Look, I think the margins for them are much smaller. And when I was hearing the guys talking about, Ireland in general, you look at their core and like the leadership group and the scalp around the back of the ear. Joe Smith probably doesn't have to do that big a job on that front because you've got so much experience within that core of teams. Typically, you look at your hooker, your second row, one of your back rowers, your half backs, your outside centre, your full back are your core that will make everyone around them accountable, pull all of those combinations together. And you look at the Irish core, and it is packed full of experience. They know who they are. They've been around to understand what it takes to win a game of rugby. They've beaten the All Blacks twice. They've won a Grand Slam. You know, they're in a pretty good spot. So why change a winning formula? Do they have to try and go and play really pretty rugby? Would anyone in this room care if Ireland don't score 30 tries throughout the Six Nations, but they win another Grand Slam?
Just the one. Guess who?
And he said no.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting you talk about that core group. Best, Omani, Murray, Sexton, Carney, possibly. Who is the alpha dog of that core?
Johnny, probably. Johnny, yeah. He's like Joe's son.
He's got the backbone for the refs as well.
I sort of picked that up. Now, I was reading something about Brian, even from Brian O'Driscoll, and he was like, literally, Joe would call everyone out apart from Johnny.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Johnny could miss 6 kicks at goal. He could miss 17 tackles. You're all right, Johnny. James, get over here now.
You're in detention. Does that irritate the other players, or he's got the golden bib, so to speak?
Say again, sorry?
Does that irritate the other players, or is just Johnny's got the golden bib?
It irritates the Munster lads.
Really?
Yeah. Johnny gets away with murder. Oh, man.
Like Joe, as Tins would say.
No, it's all fairly balanced, in fairness to him. But it's a bit of tough love, for 90% of the time. So yeah, it's.
But is that he's basically the son, because he's essentially Joe Smith wearing a number 10 jersey,
yeah.
and running the show basically. He knows. It's the one thing that you pick up, whether through media or whatever, is he knows the role not only of himself but of everyone else. So therefore, he makes everyone else accountable, which is obviously a coach's dream, right?
He is. He's unbelievable. He's like a coach out there. He is actually like Joe out there, genuinely. Same body shape.
I think Simon Zebo's going to announce his retirement this evening. I think that's it.
Bit of a melted candle.
I'm done.
Could Johnny also be a serial killer?
He actually could, yeah.
Associate.
Have Ireland got the best tight head in the world game as well? I'm sort of leading you down a path that we've trodden down a few times on the pod.
What, Mr. Furlong?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a beautiful player.
Very good.
By the way, I
What's
keep
his
pronouncing his name wrong, so apologies. So I'm going to call him Mr. Furlong.
Very good.
But he is an outstanding player. Huh?
Respect where it's due.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you look at their whole pack. I think how strong that pack is allows him to be the player that he is. And then you look at, we talked about Byrne being injured, then we looked at Henderson being injured, and you're like, well, 2 big players. But then you look at what they've got in reserve, and you're like, well, actually, this is where Ireland are now going so far along in their journey to win a World Cup, is the strength they have in depth, which my original argument, which I said, was that if they play the attritional way that they play in a short format like a World Cup, they will probably pick up injuries, which will make it then very difficult for them to maintain that. You look at 2015 and the injuries that they suffered, and then Argentina game. Whereas now, you actually, with Joey Carberry coming through as well, you're actually looking at them having backups to their stars that could actually do a job for them. So it's really fucking annoying. But they're an okay team.
They're in a pretty good place, I think it's fair to say.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
Live at the Aviva Stadium. Whoop, whoop. Audience on fine form as well. We'll kick it. Actually, I'll tell you what, just very quickly, where's Murray? Those of you who listen to Pod will know that Murray is... There's Murray. Murray, could we possibly get a couple more of our friends in the front here? Thank you very much. He's doing a bit of filming as well, but he's also the barman. So four more Guinness and a sparkling water for Simon, please. Still hoping out for that recall. On to England. How much progress did they make in November?
Thank you for answering for me. I threw my voice and said none. Yeah, actually, I don't think they did make that much progress, to be honest.
Good.
I think, obviously, there was a great performance against New Zealand, but ultimately they still lost. Whether you can call the referee's decision what it was, I think it was the right call in the end of the day. But they still had numerous opportunities to win that game. I think the Japan game made a mockery of it for me a little bit in terms of what he did, in terms of making 11 changes. I understand if you're in Ireland's position where you've won that many games, you've got players who need to play. But the amount of injuries we had in the November series, we were already playing second string sort of guys. I just felt that after the first game they could have done with just consolidating going into the games that they were going to go into. But my issue now with England is that they have clearly got a very, very good group of players, but they don't ever give one of them a chance to get bedded in. You look at the Ireland team and how settled they are. You know, Scottish first team's pretty settled. Wales, to be fair, have played around a fair bit in the autumn. But 10 games out from a World Cup, I feel that you need a little bit of consistency, and people need to know where they stand. And the mind games that Eddie sort of plays, I just don't really buy into. It's fine if you're winning. Like when he was winning 18 games on the bounce, he was saying the most ludicrous things ever, and everyone found it funny. But then when you lose 7 and you're still doing it, people are, well, actually, we need a proper answer.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still feel that England have gone from playing a game on a Saturday that was high-tempoed and actually stressed defences to where they've actually gone backwards to playing a bit one-out runner. You know, we need Billy for the Pollard to come back and link with Mako and link with the backs a lot better, like they were doing in 2016. But if they don't do that, we're just still going to be playing one-out runners. And if you do that against Ireland, they'll turn you over.
Billy, Mako, Tio Tuolangi, possibly Thocken the Singer, who's obviously a new kid rising. I mean, you start to put that together as an England team and put Farrell around it and Youngs. Is that a side that other teams will look at and raise an eyebrow, or is that a side that other teams will think they've only got one trick, and if we stop that, we can do them?
No, they're not bad bunch of players you just mentioned there. To be fair, look, I think when you look at not only the England squad, the Irish squad, and the Welsh squad, all of a sudden it's not a team that wins you games these days. It's squad members. You know, Tuolagi's been out for some time. What a player he is. The Vunipola brothers, I think they make the England team tick, if I'm honest. They should be playing for Wales, but I don't want to go on about it. You know, it's some class there, but that's why we're so excited about these teams at the moment, because of the strength in depth. You know, sometimes it's not a bad thing when you get players out with injuries and players that you expect to be in the first team, because it gives other players opportunities. We've certainly seen that in the Welsh team with the likes of Falatau being injured, and Moriarty or Wainwright gets an opportunity. But Thomas Young, who may have an opportunity in the Welsh team. That's what international rugby is all about. It's a physical game. It's tough. You're going to get your injuries, but that means that someone else gets an opportunity. And I think that's what we're going to see this Six Nations. Okay. England got a hell of a squad with all their players back. Ireland have got a hell of a squad full stop with all their provinces doing so well. And all of a sudden, Wales have got a real squad. You know, when I was playing, we had a good team. Yeah. We had players that you were there or thereabouts to get into the team. But when we didn't have a full squad, we were in trouble. All of a sudden, we got strength in depth. And I think that's why, you know, I'll go on about it again. That's why we're all, you know, a lot of the home nations are looking in good stead going into the World Cup. We haven't had that before.
Yeah. Has centrally contracted, obviously, everyone here is centrally contracted apart from England and France. Does that make a huge difference? I think that's made a big difference in terms of the squad depth that is allowed to.
Well, Wales is dual contracts, isn't it?
It's dual contract, but that's changing again now. That's happening at the moment, and the whole dual contract between WIU and the regions is going to change as well. But it's definitely helped Wales in the fact that we've been able to get them George North back playing in Wales, where he's playing his better rugby again. He kind of went off the boil a bit at Northampton. Jonathan Davis and these guys, coming back. Not because it's done an English team.
Say because he's playing England, he went off the boil.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah, but it's as a spectator, you know, it's good to see these guys coming back, and it certainly has helped in that respect. But it's all changing again in Wales, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. No one really knows what contracts they're going to be having in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah. But it's definitely helped Wales for sure. And
I mean,
it's doing a hell of a job in the Irish province, isn't it?
I'm going to interrupt Murray, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Murray, the world's biggest rugby fan. Good man.
Because, you know...
Murray is a regular on the show. He just delivers Guinness to Tindall.
Thank you.
Fish finger sandwiches.
Yeah.
You look at...
Thanks, Murray. Well done. Murray, ladies and gentlemen, off he goes. Very good.
Because you look, I mean, even you look at Scotland's squad now.
Even Scotland.
No, as in. How
You're still here.
All right.
No. I was about to say something positive.
Okay,
Fuck
go
you,
on.
actually. So we talked about the injuries that are in the Scotland camp. Probably the team with the most injuries, but yet you still go through their squad and they've got some great players in there, and obviously unbelievable squad and a great squad now as well. I just feel that it's really helped sort of galvanise those teams, and actually why we're in the situation we are as Six Nations, where you've got genuine 5 teams that will go toe to toe, and I think it's just made the competition way better, and I think it's made Scottish rugby better, Welsh rugby better, and obviously not done as well this year in the Champions Cup as you've done in the past. Obviously, Ireland teams are probably the leading light. England teams come under pressure because they're not doing as well in the Champions Cup, but we're playing 12 teams rather than 2, 4. So
I don't know.
I forgot about the Dragons. Sorry. In all fairness,
Everyone forgets about the Dragons.
Newport. Who wants to go there?
Oh,
shit! Now that's like Wales as well.
It's like Italy, Ireland, and England.
I didn't say that, right?
I don't know. I'm going to ask a Scot this, but do you see England as a genuine contender this year, or the best of the rest?
When you look at their squad, they're always a contender. They should always be a contender. Look at playing numbers. Look at quality of squad. They've not got that many injuries. They've got some outstanding players in their team. Is Eddie Jones' biggest problem coming to the Six Nations? How does he pick the right team, the right starting 15 and 23 from his squad? I don't know. Is it that? We spoke about the Irish core. When I look at the English core, when it was announced that Owen Farrell was going in for thumb surgery, would he be fit for Ireland or not? If you take Owen Farrell out that team, no matter the quality, who is the guy that is standing there making every other person in that squad accountable for what their job is? The Johnny Sexton of Ireland, but he's not got the same core around him who have the same leadership qualities. From my perspective as an outsider, England should be at the top of the Six Nations, the top 2 of the Six Nations, year in, year out. They should be in the top 2 or 3 of World Rugby, year in, year out, with the playing numbers they've got. Their biggest challenge at the moment, who's their best 15? What do they stand for? The mind games of Jack Nowell at 7. I think they're genuine contenders for this tournament. They have to be when you look at the quality of their squad. Saturday is going to play a big part, but we'll see. I mean, obviously as a Scot, I hope they finish 5th like last year.
6th, actually. 6th. No, you hope that they finish 6th.
I hope they finish 6th, but yeah.
I think they were 7th.
Actually,
I remember that, actually. We were 7th.
There's an article that's come out tonight saying that they've met in Los Angeles, all the
Augustin Pichot
and they're talking about relegation from the Six Nations now.
Which is fine.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Would you like to see probably a playoff between bottom side and top of the tier 2?
I mean, Conor O'Shea led Italy to a comfortable win against Georgia in November. For him, I heard him talk in the week, that was psychologically a massive boost for his players, because people have spoken for so long about this promotion relegation. Georgia are the next cab on the rank to come into the Six Nations. Scotland played Georgia November 2 years ago and won really comfortably. It's a
big win for you guys.
Of course, massive. Just another one of our huge wins. That's not even a joke. It was. But I think that's another conversation for another day, probably.
Okay.
Right, in a world where we're talking about ring fencing and then we're talking about international promotion relegation.
Would you ring fence?
No.
Maybe swiftly on then. I want to move on to Wales and Scotland as well. Gatland said, I think this week, he said, if we beat France, I think we win the title. Go along with that?
Look, I definitely think the first game it's going to sound obvious, really. It's so important. You win the first game, you're on to a Grand Slam. It's as simple as that. France is such a difficult game away from home.
Is it really?
It is. It is. We've come short there several times, and I think the fact is that all of a sudden you've got a French team that we don't know much about. They've got their experience. They've got their the players that have been there and done it, but they've got a lot of youngsters coming through that we don't know much about, who are obviously going to be very talented. In fact, we've got Roman Intermac, who is obviously Intermac's boy, which is quite dear to me, really, because I played against Intermac in my first cap.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I give him an interception pass on my first touch. So, so it'd be nice to see how he goes.
He definitely needed that confidence boost.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
exactly.
He was average player.
He was struggling for 10 years before that, but
Your career died that day.
yeah,
exactly.
pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. So, even though it makes me feel really old, it'd be interesting to see how the likes of the Intermac and these guys go. Look, the French team, I know it's a cliche we've already mentioned already, but we really don't know how difficult it's going to be first match. If you can win that game away from home, it gives you massive confidence. The fact that Wales have won 9 on the bounce anyway, you win one game in the Six Nations, all of a sudden you're talking about Grand Slams. And I think that's why Warren's saying that. I remember in 2008 when Warren came into the Welsh team, when we beat England away from home.
I remember beating them that year as well, Shane.
Yeah, exactly.
That was when you did your... Was that the game you did?
2008?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were winning.
Yeah.
And then I dived on Lee Burns and I had to go to hospital and we lost. Yeah, it was only 5 minutes to go. I'm not saying anything. It goes on the same thing in the 2003 World Cup. I got substituted on 78 minutes. We were winning. Yeah. We ended up drawing and then we went on and won. But, we could have won easily if I'd have stayed on. But
Too true.
Not quite.
But the fact of the matter was when we, you can imagine he's only just taken over the Welsh team and we've just beaten England, and the next thing he says, "Look, guys, we've won the Grand Slam. We've won our hardest game. We've won the Grand Slam." All of a sudden, the lads are looking at each other thinking, "Jesus, does he mean this? We haven't had this kind of confidence installed in us before. Does he really mean this?" And we went on and won it. So the first game is so important. That's why the dangerous game for Wales is the Ireland-England game, because whoever wins that it's a massive, it's a massive story.
You look at last year. Ireland could have, almost, should have lost. Miracle drop goal, win a Grand Slam.
Exactly, and you lose that first game, all of a sudden you're playing catch up straight away because you've only got 4 other games to turn it around. Really, you win away from home against a team that are always very difficult away from home. Then you're coming home on that bus thinking, do you know what? We've got one out the way, probably one of the most difficult games. Yeah. We've got England and Ireland at home. We play a better rugby at home. We've got this. Yeah, and that's all you need to put into the boys' heads, you've got to go to Scotland in the meantime, but,
Yeah. That'll be all right. Simon, I'm sort of picturing you in the 15th arrondissement with a coffee and a Gaulois leafing through the Figaro, and I just wonder what the French papers are saying about Les Bleus' chances this time. All right. Have I got that right? Is that how you spend a sort of Thursday
Pretty sure
afternoon? I don't know. I'm envisaging one of those on a cigarette holder kind of thing,
No.
What hope do the French media give Les Bleus coming into this tournament?
They're a mixed bag, I think. After a loss to Fiji there recently, they're up in arms a bit. The coaching staff are a bit inconsistent in who they're picking, and I don't think there's a lot of trust there. So, the players are quietly confident. Quietly, I say, being the main word.
Very
quietly confident. Yeah, but I'm not sure if they're 100% confident in the coaching team either. It's they probably need to play more under them or whatever. I don't know, but it's not too encouraging going into Six Nations and later a World Cup. So we'll have to see.
France is such an enigma, isn't it? It's like Checker was coach of Stade Francais. Obviously, he'd won the Heineken Cup with Leinster, and he went over there and he tried to put a structure in there, and all the players sort of revolted against him and got him sacked. No, who does that? And then, but now you're just getting these mad coaches that get picked who change. Philippe Saint-André changed. He used something ridiculous amount of players that he used, and then the back row, leave them on before that, used so many different players. They just don't have any sort of structure. And then if there is structure brought in, then the players get really pissed off about it. And it's just, they are just uniquely French in the fact that, I know it's such a cliche to say, but they can turn up one day and put 50 on you, and then they can turn up and just fold like a deck of cards. But it's just frustrating because you need France performing. Those, they used to be New Zealand's bogey team, didn't they? They always just turn up, and because they played this way that it was just completely off the cuff, they would win games. But at the moment, they just don't seem to have that. You look at their team and you go, there are some proper quality players in here. They should be in every single game. And then some days they are, some days they aren't.
I think that's
if
the
you're
thing
playing
about-
Tins Bingo tonight, you can draw a line through France as well as Ireland, Italy, and England as well.
I've actually picked on the
And you
Guinness pint. What was the app called? The Pint Predictor.
Oh yes,
I put
perfect
France
call.
down to win. Because I think they'll win their first game at Grand Slam.
we talk so much about momentum in the Six Nations. I think it's suited to France more than anybody else because French players don't know how good a team they are. The coaches probably don't know how good. The public certainly don't know how good they are. But if they knock Wales over in round one, then they go to Twickenham, knock them over in round two, and then it's a Grand Slam chase between Ireland and Scotland.
Yeah. Hold on tight. Teddy Tom has a massive loss for them, though, isn't it? He's obviously your mate at...
Big loss, yeah. He's a good friend now, yeah.
Is he?
Who's got the better dance moves?
Yeah, exactly. Who's better on a night out?
I'm old now. I have 2 kids at home. I don't get many nights out, but it's definitely me.
Prove it.
He's a big loss. He's a world-class finisher. He's one of the fastest players I've seen in the flesh. He'd be up there with Christian Wade in terms of out-and-out speed. He's just electric, yeah. He's so strong, so fast, and a good finisher. So he's a big loss to them. They probably lack a tiny bit of cutting edge that out wide with him out. But they've still got Hughes, Intimac, Lopez, Parra. They've got a world-class team. So I think if they get a big win against Wales first up, they're going to be very tough to stop.
Are there still many French people, you suddenly get off the training pitch and they're like that? Because there used to be a lot.
There's not, actually. I don't think so, no.
Is that disappointing? Is that kind of why you went to Paris? For the Vin Rouge post-training?
I was promised I could do this.
Well, that's why Colin Travis went to play rugby in France. Because you could have a fag at half time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I love the story of Rob Henderson,
Yeah.
who was the last man to play 40 minutes of international rugby with a lighter in his pocket. He went outside for a fag before the anthems and then got caught and had to hide it in his pocket.
I mean, there was a few French players that when we played, who'd have a cig at half time.
Really?
Ridiculous, yeah. Phil
was
Vickery used to sort of do that back, like when he was playing for Gloucester. The old Woodbine.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then he'd just go and headbutt someone.
10 minutes in the sin bin for another fag, probably. Perfect timing. Word on Scotland, or maybe a word or two. Interestingly, so we went to the Six Nations launch on Wednesday, and I said to Gregor Townsend, which team have you got to beat this season? And he said ourselves, as in, we are the ones that when we get it wrong, it falls apart. So he's very much putting the onus on Scotland. Is that a sort of indication of their inconsistency? They smash England and then potentially they can lose to Italy the following week. They've got to find consistency.
Yeah, I guess, I alluded to it earlier. I think the difference in Scotland on top of their game and on an off day is too wide-ranging at the moment. And look, I looked at Gregor Townsend's 38-man squad that he named initially before a couple of extra injuries. There were 17 of them who had 10 caps or fewer, which is... There's a lack of experience there. And you're obviously, outside of those 38, you've still got the likes of John Barclay missing. You've got Xander Fagerson, Matt Fagerson, Dave Denton, Magnus Bradbury. There's a fair few, Fraser Brown, fair few key guys, particularly up front, which for me is so important. The guys have spoken about squad depth being key. Hopefully Scotland get healthier as the tournament goes on and we don't pick up injuries in the first number of weeks. I think Scotland on their day, and it's a message that comes through whether you speak to players or coaches or media or whatever. Scotland on their day compete with anyone in the world. Scotland, when they're 5-10% off, are vulnerable to get knocked over. And I think that's international rugby as a beast. I'd like to think we go into Saturday and we beat Italy at home. The record at Murrayfield is absolutely outstanding. I think Scotland will have 13 consecutive sold-out competitions. Last time they lost in the Six Nations was first game of 2016 at home. We're in a good place at home. Murrayfield is a bit of a fortress.
Do you have 2 home games start as well.
Yeah, we go Italy, Ireland. So, that will dictate a lot. It's, try it and every bit lost. Cheers, Steve. I think everyone talks about momentum in the Six Nations. Scotland, Italy has always been the last game of the tournament for as long as I remember. So Scotland have Italy first up, and it will still be challenging. They'll come over to Edinburgh bullish and fancy their chances. If Scotland win that, it'll be the first time in a long time we've won our opener, and we then go into week 2. Ireland will get, a good old game this weekend, and who knows week 2.
You know that the guys who run the tournament have realised that obviously Scotland aren't going to be playing for a wooden spoon, so normally they put the wooden spoon match at the end, and normally they put the Grand Slam match, so they realise England aren't going to win a Grand Slam, so they put it at the front. So yeah, it obviously shows how we're changing.
They've divvied
France,
it up.
Italy for the wooden spoon.
Is that the final game?
Yeah. France, Italy is the first game on the Super Saturday,
Okay.
followed by Wales, Ireland, or
Followed
Ireland,
by-
Wales,
yeah.
followed by England,
Scotland.
Scotland. You do the math.
Surely not.
Ireland Grand Slam.
Yeah. Do you have genuine hope that 1983 will be erased this year?
Look at
Last time Scotland won at Twickenham?
2 years ago, I had genuine hope that
You lost by
1983 would be late, and it was a 40-pointer.
Yeah,
so.
but you can never predict what happened in the first 20 minutes.
No,
in terms of injuries.
exactly. Yellow card, 3 minutes in or whatever. Floodgates. We're in all
Injuries.
sorts of bother. But look, I do have genuine hope. The key thing for me, we've got 20 injured players out at the moment. We need a handful of those to come back, and what we have, the rest of the squad needs to stay as healthy as we can.
Anyone want a quick word on Italy?
No.
Brutal.
They're fucked.
A bone?
Hope they find their form after week 1.
Yeah.
Rome's a lovely weekend away.
It is, isn't it? It is. Better than Georgia. We'll all say that. Just quickly, you went Ireland winners. Ireland, Wales.
France.
You're sticking with France.
Well, I don't think.
Do you think France are going to win this year's Six Nations?
I think they could.
Yeah, go on, stick with France.
fuck
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
And
I said Ireland.
Ireland, okay. Wooden spoon.
Italy.
It's
England.
Oh!
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah. Ditto.
Top try scorer.
Not an Irish.
Stockdale, May,
It
Hoogie.
depends how many chip and chases stuck up, isn't it?
They're cutting your mic now because you're talking so much garbage against it in Ireland.
If they give Stockdale enough ball to chip and chase, he'll definitely be a top
Okay.
try scorer. He might intercept enough to get that.
Okay. Stockdale for you?
No.
No.
Earlsey, Stockdale, or Steph Evans if he's going
Good
on.
shout.
Yeah,
I like
Steph
that.
Evans, good player,
I love that they're all going back. We know it's going to be catch, drive. It's going to be a forward for Ireland.
Rory
isn't it?
Best.
Yeah, it's going to be a forward for
Sean
Ireland.
Cronin's a very good shout. Off the
Cronin's
bench
a
as
good
well.
shout.
Yeah.
Shane, anything to chuck in?
I hope Stephen Evans plays lots of rugby. It all depends on selection, obviously, but I'm a big Keith Earls fan. I think he's a very underrated
He's a proper
winger,
player.
and I know him very well. He's a finisher, and he keeps under the radar, and he does score tries.
Is he a really angry man on the field? Is he nice off it?
Oh,
He's got another one of those tags, a Mike Brown tag.
Yes.
Just
Doesn't smile a
fucking
lot,
angry on the field for no reason. I know he's small. Is he ginger as well? I can't even figure it out.
Like, he's under 5'6". He's got small man syndrome. You leave him alone, right?
You didn't have small man syndrome, but then you could.
I'll have it tonight.
You just
No,
dance.
shut
Looking very Viking with that beard. I won't mess with you.
Chuck Norris. You've got to try scorer for me? You've been pondering it for about 6 minutes. I just wondered if you managed to come up with it.
I was pondering whether to go for a Scotsman or not, and if
Right.
it is, then it's a
Then you come to
Seymour
your
or
senses.
Hogg.
Seymour Hogg.
Seymour or a Hogg, but then, yeah, I don't know. No.
Good.
I'm
Good
not-
answer, Rory. Thank you for that. Player of the tournament, finally. Sexton, Farrell, Jonathan Davis, Billy Vunipola, Hogg, James Ryan's a good shout.
Good shout.
Good. This is going really well.
I-
Can anyone chuck anything out there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much could be an Irish forward. So whether it be Furlong, whether it be Ryan, whether it be O'Mahony.
What, even if France win the Grand Slam?
Yeah. Because Ireland will play better than them in every other game apart from that one game.
Bullshit.
Okay, if I pick someone from France, it would be. I am going to go Camille Lopez.
Okay.
Oh, controversial. Stuart Hogg won at 16 and 17.
Yeah.
So, it's not typical. And Scotland weren't winning Grand Slams or Six Nations then. It's going to be someone who lights up the tournament. Stuart Hogg.
Okay. Competition time. Producer Si, you're going to feed me the three names. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is everyone has submitted their Six Nations memory. Am I right in saying that? Yes, I am. And we're going to bring up the three favourites who are going to recount their Six Nations favourite memories. And you are going to judge on who the winner is. And the winner will get a pair of tickets to Ireland against England. So, producer Si, the first person to come up and pitch for glory is Mr. Paul Kelly. Come on up, Mr. Paul Kelly. Where are the... Oh, there we are.
All the
so
way
you've got
from England, obviously.
three spare seats over there.
Are we getting a pint of Guinness for him as well?
Go make yourself comfortable. Very nice to see you.
He's got a skull of
Under the
pint,
bright
right,
lights,
as
you've
well.
got to deliver. Next up is
It's just a boat race.
Olga Flynn.
Chop off.
Olga Flynn, oh my God, it's you. Come on up and take yourself a seat. And Charlie Bulger. Charlie Bulger, are you still in the building? You are indeed, sir. Come on up. Right, we're sort of making this up as we go along. Welcome along. No one said this was going to be easy. You've got a moment to make yourself a very popular man with a couple of tickets to Ireland against England at the Aviva on Saturday. So, Evan, whereabouts is Stanley? Here. So you're going to come up, stand under the bright lights, and you've got 30 seconds to pitch your Guinness Six Nations favourite memory. Who's going to go first? Charlie, would you like to go first? Olga, are you going to go first? Come on, Olga. Ladies first. Ladies and gentlemen, Olga to the stand. Talking to the audience, but talking to the panel as well, because they're deciding. So it's a bit like the Graham Norton show, this. We haven't got an ejector button, but make it good. Your 30-second starts now.
So apologies, Shane. Mine's relating to 2009. We'd just won the Grand Slam. And I'd been out all that Saturday night celebrating. And myself and my sister, we ended up on Custom House Quay in Dublin. The street was deserted. We didn't really realise why. Suddenly we saw the motorcade coming along and the team bus bringing our Grand Slam champions home. I was feeling a little worse for wear. I thought I'd kind of clear my throat. We were like jumping up and down and clapping. And then I realised I was going to have to, get sick. But it was a really breezy day on the quays, on the Liffey, and kind of blew back into my hair. And as the bus went by, I can still see Luke Fitzgerald's face at the front of the bus. And he was possibly feeling a little worse for wear as well. And he was like... but I still managed to clap and cheer and just kind of, just waft it away.
Amazing. Olga, ladies and gentlemen. You've absolutely nailed the vibe of this show as well. You were sick in front of yourself in front of Ireland's Grand Slam champions.
I'm a bit confused. Is that
You're up next
your
at what?
best moment or your worst moment?
Yes.
It was my first time in my life for Ireland to win the Grand Slam.
It was both. Good and bad in one moment. Right, it's quite a strong start, I will be fair.
Yeah. I think I'm fucked already.
All right, okay. Give it your best. Your 30-second starts now.
Yeah, mine's a bit sappier. I was travelling around New Zealand and I fancied this English girl and way on my leg.
Good lad.
I know you're thinking she must be good looking because I'm gorgeous. But anyway, I went over and I was chatting to her and she's into rugby and I was like, do you want to go on a date? She said, no, leave me alone. I said, look, Ireland are playing England tomorrow. How about we stay up and watch it, and if Ireland win, you go on a date with me. If England win, I'll change my profile picture on Facebook to me holding an English flag thinking there's not a fucking hope in hell. England won. I changed my profile picture. I did marry her.
Hey! Who ruined the punchline? Get him out! Get him out of here! That's a very good story. Well, I'll tell you, Mike, very good indeed. Charlie's up next. We've had vomiting, we've had marriage.
I don't think I'll bother after that. This has gone back a bit. The age profile's not very good here. 1994, This was in the days when Ireland used to beat England when there was a 4 in the year. And I had a ticket for the match in Twickenham, but unfortunately 9 months previously, something happened and it wasn't really a good idea to go to the match. So my wife Fiona said, well, look, you're not going to the match, obviously, but there's nothing happening here. I think maybe you should go down to the pub to watch the match. So I went down to watch the match, and I don't know if anyone here can remember the game. Some of you will. But there was a brilliant try scored by Simon Gagan, who went past Underwood as if he wasn't there. And so I stayed in the pub for quite some time. I wouldn't say I'd forgotten that I had a child being born. It wasn't supposed to happen that day. So I got home quite late. I'd say it was about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. To be met at the door by my wife, who said, we got to go now. So I went down to Holles Street, and about 2 hours later, my daughter was born, who I immediately named Simone.
Very good, Charlie, very good. Right.
Shit.
Very good indeed, sir. Right, we're going to have a quick conflab. Or should we put it out to the crowd as well? We've got Vomit, we've got Marriage, and we've got Simone. Okay, we'll have a cheer for Vomit. We'll have a cheer for Marriage. And we'll have a cheer for Simone. Cheer for Marriage. Cheer for Simone. I think Marriage gets it. Are you all in agreement? Marriage gets it. Paul, have we got his tickets here or not? Everyone's got his tickets. Let's do a handover. Paul, come on up. Come and sit on the bench with the other guys, and you can have a photo and that kind of thing. Go and sit in the middle of your tickets. Who are you going to take? Please don't say, oh, he's going to take his wife. That spoils it. There you are. From hero to zero.
Brilliant.
Come and sit down and welcome. Have we got anything else to talk about? Are you a confident fan ahead of the weekend?
I am, but I
You
play
can
it
hold
down
that.
at home.
You can play it down at home.
Yeah, she's quite an angry fan.
Your wife?
Yeah, so we tend to watch it around my family, and the family can get quite boisterous, and she hates my mate Gavin as a result of watching it as well.
Whereabouts in England is your wife from?
Bournemouth? Well, New Milton, but no one knows New Milton, so Bournemouth.
Jesus. Can we tee up a sort of competition here? Obviously, you had to carry the flag last time. If Ireland win this time...
Do you want a caller?
Yeah, exactly. Should we dial her in?
Can we get her on speakerphone and you can call her to tell her that we're going to the game this weekend?
You've got the chance here, with Ireland as clear favourites, to actually lay down some ground rules for the next 12 months.
Yeah, lay down the ground rules before you.
Well, we all know what a man asks for when he's doing a bet, but I better not do that over the phone.
He's shaking.
Honestly, his hand is going like a leaf.
He's shaking like a
well,
I tell you what.
Just to be clear, my wife has never seen England play, and actually, as a surprise for her,
No, actually, don't.
As a surprise for her birthday, I had actually bought tickets to the England-Italy game for the pre-World Cup. You
You bastard.
This is going to beat it. So yeah. Yeah. Well, I wasn't. I'm not made of money.
You gotta.
I'm not earning what Zebo's earning.
Cash money, Zeebs, cash money. Are we going to do this? Let's do it.
Yeah.
You've got to think very quickly here. If Ireland win, what can you ask them to do? And if England win?
Right.
Oh, I'm actually quite tense. This is like the Lions tour in 2013 again, isn't
Put
it?
it on speakerphone.
Hello?
Hello?
How are you? Are you asleep?
No. I'm just trying to be quiet.
Here, if I win these, rugby tickets, what sort of favours can I get?
You haven't won them, have you?
Yeah, I have them on stage. We're going to the match.
Hi, wifey, it's Shane.
Be around in
Remember
5.
me that time?
Sorry?
Is he in the doghouse, or has he done well with the tickets?
He's done very well if he's telling the truth, if he's winding me up there.
So we're trying to wager a bet because we understand that you got together over an England-Ireland game. You won that time, and he had to change his Facebook profile page to hold an England flag. This time around, if Ireland win, what does he get? And if England win, what do you get?
Oh.
Is that what he wins or what you win?
I'll let
No,
set the
what
right
she
check.
was is,
She said she'll let me set it, so we know what's going to happen.
Listen, apparently you're quite an angry England fan, but we hope on Saturday, Mike Tindall and I, that you are a very happy England fan, and we hope you and your husband have a wonderful time at the game. Thank you for being a very good sport indeed. Big cheer, ladies and gentlemen, for Wifey and for Paul.
Thank you.
Are you in trouble when you get home, or are you going to be all right?
I ain't no trouble.
You're in good time. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Paul, we'll let you get back to your seat.
Cheers.
Shaking like a leaf, very good man, well played. And enjoy the game on Saturday.
Paul.
What a superstar. Quick final thoughts. Scotland to win by how many on Saturday?
My final thought is I'm just so relieved that he could join you on the sofa so you've not been draped across it all evening long. Like some Lothario.
It's just a Corinthian style for those that like it, you know.
Do you not know Alex's background? He
Very
he has 15 chaise longues at home. He's like, excuse me, Ferrero Rocher, man. Bring me something to eat.
Contraction, I'm meant to be fed grapes, but they wouldn't bring the grape bringer over.
Well, you did send me a picture of your Ferrero Rocher that you're eating and say Happy Sunday.
Well, there we
so
are,
you're
you see.
Clearly an English prick.
Takes one to
why
know one.
everyone hates us.
Exactly.
Well done, you.
Good. Thank you for
Prediction
that.
for Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, or we can just finish on abuse.
Murrayfield or?
Well, I think Scotland, England,
Scotland win.
Scotland, Italy is taking place at Murrayfield.
Scotland, England's not on Saturday.
No.
If you
Fuck, it's always going wrong at the end of these shows. We're trying to get a nice clean ending.
please.
Scotland, Italy.
Scotland to win.
By
Buffalo.
15, Buffalo.
Does everyone know Buffalo?
Alex Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Right-handed drinking.
I'm allowed to because I'm the presenter. Yes, I am.
Switch hands.
Okay, let's just finish the show first. We've still got two others to
we
do.
can finish it by you finishing your
Okay.
slide.
Scotland to win by 12.
Score here at the Aviva.
Ireland to win by 3.
Ooh. You might get out of here alive.
19-12 to Ireland.
Okay.
I'm just worried his wife sounds exactly like mine. What was the question?
I don't know, really. I mean, make it up and answer it yourself. France, Wales.
Where's Grand Slam?
Right. Very good. I'm now meant to read out some various bits and bobs, and I forget them every week. It's to do with Joe's other programming, which if you haven't listened to, it's well, I've lost it. It's very well worth doing. Unfiltered with James O'Brien and Boys Don't Cry with... I'm going to test you, because you listen to this every week. It's very good. It's a very good podcast.
You, which is, so
I know,
when you
I know.
start
No one
speaking,
does.
I switch off.
Thank you very much indeed, guys. A lot of fun. And may the best team win on Saturday at Murrayfield in Dublin and in Paris. We will leave it there for this week's House of Rugby, live from the Aviva. Give yourselves a cheer once again. Brought to you by Joe.
And what better way to finish the YouTube version of this show than you finishing your beer?
Sinking half an inch
Left arm.
of Guinness. I'm sure there are other bits I'm meant to remember, and I can't remember they are. We're a YouTube show and a podcast. Please remember to subscribe and leave us a comment if you've had a good time. Thank you to all the feedback
Your
that
wife
we've had
is
so
very
far.
happy if that's half inch of beer. So,
Yes, she is, Michael. Yes, she is. I will finish with my half an inch of beer, and I will finish as well by saying thank you once again to Rory, to Mike, to Simon, and to Shane. Have a lovely rest of the weekend. Here's the best team. Thank you very much indeed, guys.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.